Hello, this is Mr. McMurray, and we're back for another fun lab. This one's probably a little bit shorter. I think a little more of an actual lab, so at least it's not so much just questions as the last couple have been. So here we go. We're going to talk about properties of ionic and covalent bonds, and we're going to talk. Well, actually, you're going to find out a lot, hopefully, about those and what makes them each kind of bond and how are they different from each other. Are they made of metals, non-metals, both, neither, whatever? Okay. So to start with, you're going to have the conductivity test here. And basically, they've got a glass of water. Okay, you can expand it to full screen, which is kind of handy. All right, if you want. If not, all right. They have different substances here over in the corner. Sucrose, for example. You can change it to these different ones, and then you will play it, and basically they are going to put in, well, the solution first and mix it. But if you get a little impatient with that, you don't watch all that. You can just skip over to the important part, and eventually they will, they stir it up and blah, blah, blah. They will eventually put a light bulb in it with two electrodes sticking out, or places where electricity can be conducted. If it does conduct electricity, then that means that the solution will connect the electricity between the two electrodes. For example, that one, not real bright, but it does conduct electricity, all right? And you can change these to check each of them out, okay? So that's the first thing. It's going to ask you to do that and record whether the light bulb glows or not, whether they will conduct electricity. If they do conduct electricity, they are called electrolytes, which makes sense. You hear about electrolytes all the time, usually talking about sports drinks and stuff, but basically there are things when dissolved in water will conduct electricity. Okay, all right. So it will also ask you about whether the metals are non-metals. I assume we've covered this by now, but metals are, here's your little stair step here. Anything to the left of that, and these ones down here, which of course would go up here, so they are also to the left of that. Those are metals. They become more metallic as they go this direction. These are your non-metals. The ones that touch here are considered metalloids. They're kind of half and half. I don't think you'll have any of those. You'll only have some that are either definitely in the non-metals or over here in the metals. Okay, so you will have to may want to refer to the chart just to make sure you know where these different elements are. Notice they have the names, but they also have the symbols out beside them, so you can look them up. Just for the record, this is important. A hydrogen can be a metal. Sometimes it can act like a metal. Sometimes it can act like a non-metal. Okay. For the purposes of this, we're going to say this lab, hydrogen will always be a non-metal for this experiment. Okay. Like I said, sometimes it can kind of go both ways, but in this case, we're definitely going to say that it is a non-metal. All right, so hydrogen is non-metal. That's an important thing when you come down here. All right, then they're going to do melting test. Okay, the first question has to do with this first video where they're just showing you the setup. There's the Bunsen burner flame and all these things, little monitors to show different things. Okay, all right, then it will ask you to watch the video for each of these elements and tell me when it begins to melt. Okay, basically, once you start melting, see crystals start melting, then I would write that temperature down. Okay, but you go just a little bit. They give you a little bit of leeway one way or the other, so I think that will be all right. But keep in mind, do not. This is important. Do not watch the first video trying to figure out what the temperature is. That is not it. You need to get on the second video where it has a close-up of the crystals, okay? And it will show you that. And once again, you can change the different elements. And so you can do it for each one. And I would just do the videos and have a piece of paper just writing down the amounts. Then you can go answer the questions about where the temperature is. But once again, you're watching the sample here, and when you first see melting on it, you might wait just a little couple seconds. It's definitely melting, and put that temperature down. Okay, all right, so that's that. That would be the melting point experiment. So now you've got data on the melting point and whether they conduct electricity or not. All right, and we'll talk about which ones have higher, and once again, talking about metals versus non-metals. How does that apply? All right, which brings us down to the next section. It's just a little summary thing there, I think. Now, Once you've figured out the ionic and covalent compounds, now you can classify these, which ones you think are which, okay? Just for the record, if they talk about molecular compounds, that means they have covalent bonds, which means they share their electrons. Ionic means they each have separating the positive and negative charges, and they are called ionic compounds or ionic bonds, okay? But molecular bonds, the same thing as covalent bonds, just for the record there. All right, then you get some information there, answer these questions. All right, now we get down here. They're going to give you an unknown substance, and for this one, you can do a conductivity test and you can do a melting point test, and based on that information, figure out what you can figure out about it, and of these, which could possibly be the correct answer based on your information, okay? And then kind of some summary here. And this time, rather than give you the experiments, they're just going to give you the formulas, because now you know how to identify which ones are which, and you're going to classify them whether you think they are ionic or covalent bonds. All right. And then the same thing, similar thing here. Which one of these substances do you predict will have the highest or high melting points? Okay. And this one, which ones will not conduct electricity? So basically that's it. Here's the same thing. They've given you an unknown white solid. They give you the conductivity results, the melting point, and based on that, they want you to come up with what you think it is, okay? So, and then they give you another one here to practice on, okay? So basically it gives you a little bit of an idea of how this will work. If you have any questions, obviously, you can still get in touch with me, but I think it's very straightforward, and it's more like an actual lab other than getting to actually do the things. But if it makes you feel better, we probably wouldn't have the equipment to do the little melting thing for every group anyhow, so that would be a pretty expensive setup. So at least we can do it this way online. All right, I hope you enjoy and have and are very successful with this. All right.